One time, like this.
This is SF Moore, your prison lawyer. SF Moore, your prison lawyer. SF Moore. Gorilla, grill pit.
You're in the motherfucking grill pit.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a bird.
Gorilla, grill pit.
You're in the motherfucking grill pit.
You're in a grill pit.
You're in the motherfucking grill pit.
This is SAF Mo, your prison lawyer, and I'm gonna give it to you raw, or I ain't gonna give it to you at all. On IGSTS, on GP, you feel me?
You're in a grill pit, bitch.
What do you got to say about SAS Mo saying white MFers?
I don't give a fuck what anybody says, because it's America and you should be able to do and say what the fuck you want. 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 God bless America.
See, you gonna I need some cleaning done in my motherfucking bathroom and shit, you know? You feel me? So let's move on to this next one. I go back on this next one. I'm going back, and not going back because I feel as though I need to go back on this cat. I'm just going back because he does something with Kim Potter, which I just did not like, you know. And since Daunte Wright family is getting ready to get paid by the city of Hennepin County, well, I should say the county of Hennepin County, city of Minneapolis, they're about to get a check, and the taxpayers about to foot that bill, not these cops, these dirty ass cops. They about to foot the bill, which is, well, I mean, it is what it is. If people don't talk about that, you know, you accept this police behavior, but then still you don't understand at the end of the day, you foot the bill. You know what I'm saying? So you want to do something about it. You know, these cops go out like it's the Wild Wild West, but whatever. I see my man got a pistol on his motherfucking demo. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Mr. Bruce, well, he taking that Bruce Willis shit real serious. I guess he's gonna go save somebody. Shit. In this case, I did see this a couple of different times because this is really what I wanted to talk about, this whole Kim Potter situation and how he plays this defense attorney. But if you catch the R. Kelly deal, he plays this game. He's got this double-edged tongue that he talks with. So if R. Kelly was his client, what would we be telling R. Kelly? You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, how would he be defending R. Kelly? So now he flips in this Kim Potter situation. So now he's talking, he's R. Kelly, he's talking about how, you know, he's messed up, whatever. He's saying what's politically correct. He's not telling you what he's going to tell this dude behind closed doors and confidentiality. And whatever he tells him is whatever he tells him. But I'm just saying, like, now he's on Kim Potter, and watch how he gets down about Kim Potter and how he, like, if you want to say this pendulum swinging, he was anti R. Kelly, but he's pro Kim Potter. But he said, stop snitching. But, I mean, are you with us or you against us? Because you can't be working with the police, you know, and then you're telling people to stop snitch. but you were the criminal defense attorney, but you're like, where you at? You confusing. You're like a goddamn transformer. Decepticon, goddammit. Fight Decepticon. Make me a Decepticon, call it Bruce Rivers. CLR. Get the motherfucking dirt out my motherfucking house. Whatever. Let's roll this shit.
Reacting to the Kimberly Potter case. Now, the Kimberly Potter case was a...
Bro, let's stop the bullshit right away. Offender Potter. That's what she is on this show. Offender Potter. Kimberly Potter, my fucking ass. Let's go.
A Brooklyn Center, Minnesota police officer. Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park.
There's a difference between Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park, right? I know, motherfucker. Let's go.
I always get them confused. But anyway, she was a 26-year veteran of the force. She was a field training officer. On this particular day, she was driving with another officer who was in his second 4 weeks of training, who would happen to come from another department. And they pulled over Dante Wright. When they pulled over Dante Wright, they pulled him over for expired tabs. And then they also noticed a air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror. Can't have one of those hanging from the... It shouldn't have anything hanging from the rearview mirror. Because
oh shit, not an air freshener. Not an air freshener. You didn't say air freshener, did you? Expired tabs? Oh shit. Okay, I understand it now. Let's go.
And it's a bullshit reason, but it's what the cops use sometimes to give them a foray into other activity. And that's what they did in this case. So they pulled Dante Wright over. When they pulled him over, they went up to the car as they normally do, and they asked him for his license. He didn't have a license. So now you have expired tabs, obstruction in the windshield, no license. All right?
Hold up, this dude didn't say CLR. Tell me what he had. Hold on, this was a whole list of shit. Let me see if I can keep track. He had expired tabs. Okay. He had I guess the revocation of license or some shit like that. He said. No, he had the Christmas tree on the window. Smelled like weed in the car, and he had remnants of weed, residue, and weed. Shit. He lucky. He got off easy, didn't he? I mean, instead to be black and be driving like that. Come on, man. Shit.
Right? And so but he gave them his information. And he also smelled a little odor of weed. Oh, now we have a little bit of weed in the car. Okay, so now we have a expired tabs. We have a Christmas tree air freshener. We have no license. And then we see some shake from earlier. Okay, so now we have a little bit of weed smell, all kind of nothings.
This is why I have a problem with this conversation. This is why IGSTS, SAF mode, I'm gonna give it to you raw, I ain't gonna give it to you at all. You're in the grill pit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have this show, or why we do what we do, is because, like, after this, we come out with, after this dude, he doesn't do a reaction to the Minnesota human rights bullshit, which is bullshit. Everybody knew all that shit prior. They didn't have to spend millions of dollars to figure out the Minneapolis Police Department.
Problems with MPD training and the report confirms many of the problems with MPD training and discipline highlighted in recent KARE 11 investigations, like from our own Lauren Lemanchak.
KARE 11 recently dug into the Field Training Officer program, finding since 2016, nearly 1 in 3 field training officers had been disciplined or successfully sued for misconduct, including those who'd been disciplined for excessive force. How important is the field training officer when it comes to police culture?
Relating to culture, I think it's absolutely critical.
The Human Rights Report finds the FTO program furthers a pattern of race-based policing and confirms MPD uses officers as field trainers even after sustained findings of excessive force.
I ain't going nowhere.
Another KARE 11 investigation showed an MPD officer escalating a situation, body slamming a bicycle. State investigators found officers are trained to be aggressive, which leads to officers escalating situations. The report also finds MPD does not appropriately and consistently hold officers accountable for police misconduct. A CARE 11 investigation found MPD rarely disciplines officers, but instead coaches those accused of misconduct, meaning the sustained complaint remains hidden from the public.
This is a policy that enables the Minneapolis Police Department to cover for bad cops.
Human rights investigators had access to more data and found even when the coaching is required, in 37% of cases, it doesn't happen, saying at times MPD supervisors simply refused to coach officers. For CARE 11 investigators.
Doing all this shit. But part of it, if you read it, Mr. Bruce Willis, CLR, did you read that Minnesota human rights report that was to come out? I'm sure you didn't. You know what I'm saying? You're too busy watching that Elvis movie, racist bastard Elvis. You're watching that. You probably was out there, you know, doing that Elvis bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Nobody got no problems with that movie, which is garbage. But not to digress. Back to the Minnesota. So it comes out that Minneapolis police utilizes contextual stops. That's what they're called, right? They're legal, right? They can pull you over for, but they said that till now they're stopping them, right? Expired tabs. Headlights out. Just any reason to pull you over to stop, because at the end of the day, all this shit ends with a man losing his life. Black man, right? Because they don't do that to white folks, right? They do it to black folks, right? They pull us out of our cars, smell of weed. You're in a neighborhood where it's suspicious, where people are doing those types of things. You already know what's going on, so it's not like it's these contextual stops where they actually believe something's happening. They know that regardless of anything, I have a reason, and it's all a lie. I want to pull you over because racial profiling, you're black, too many black people in the car. We know how they get down, right? You know, but the back end of this story is that when they do go in the car and run his name, it's not the fact that he has a warrant. It's the fact that he has a pending case that involves a firearm that gets this riled up, right? It's not that gun, you know, the gun shit, the whole, you know, conceal and carry, you know, whatever the hell he's talking about is not the main issue. The main issue is he's got a white female that he supposedly robbed. It's still a case that wasn't adjudicated at that time that sparks everything when they go sit back in the car. There's no video camera. There are video cameras, but there's no audio. So when they go back to the car, we really don't know what they talk about before they go back to this car, because you can't tell me this warrant, you know, this whatever, but that the fact that he has two situations that involves a pistol doesn't bring them to some type of alert. But let's go. This is SAF. Let's do this.
All stuff that's not even a misdemeanor, really. But then they go back to the car after he writes it out and says who he is. And they find out that he's got a warrant. And I looked the warrant up, actually. And the warrant was for, in Minnesota, it's a gross misdemeanor to transport a firearm without a permit. I think, quite frankly, it's unconstitutional statute because Minnesota doesn't require you to have a permit to own a firearm. So how do you transport your weapon without, you know, anyway, it's another story. So here's the deal. So now he's got a warrant. I looked this warrant up, and what happened was they sent him a court date, but they sent it to the wrong address. So he probably didn't even know that he had a warrant, didn't know that he had a court date, and he didn't show up for the court date. So what happens when you don't show up for court? When you don't show up for court, they give you a warrant. So once the cops see that there's a weapons warrant, they pull him out of the car and they're going to arrest him. And that's when all hell broke loose, shortly after that. Once they decide to arrest him, put your hands behind your back, that kind of thing, he gets back in the car and he tries to take off. And Kimberly Potter is on one side of the vehicle, Officer Johnson.
Well, let's break this down, because he just skates over that whole situation. So if you actually watch the video, he doesn't play the video, which is cool. They have him. I mean, Dante is probably like 150 pounds, 60 pounds, maybe. You got two big police officers that's got him under, you know, they have him. He's basically, I mean, he's being compliant. At a certain time, he slips and then he jumps into his car. To me, that's kind of suspicious because you got not one officer, because it's a felony stop. They acting as though it's a felony stop. You got these individuals pulling him out of the car, getting ready to handcuff him. You got 2 officers on the side of him. So at that particular point, me being from the streets, I understand what's going on. You about to go to jail, right? If they come like that. So again, we have no audio. We don't know what they're saying to him. We don't know what made him jump back into the car. Because why did you come out if you're gonna run, you're gonna run. You're not gonna second thought or run, right? You're gonna run, you're gonna run. So why get out the car and have them start putting you and then get in the car and run? When you was already in the car, just take the fuck off. So whatever, just whatever.
And Officer Lucky were assisting, and she tells him, I'm gonna tase you like twice. And then he tries to put the car in gear, and she says, taser, taser, taser. And then the officers back away, and instead of grabbing her taser, which is on her left-hand side, she grabs her firearm.
Okay, let's break that down. So what he doesn't talk about is these police officers being trained. So for a long time, police officers could shoot you in your back if you ran. They fire warning shots, did all that bullshit. Let's talk about that, but we could talk about that. I got something to say. You're in a grill pit, so we're gonna talk about real. We're gonna keep it raw. We ain't gonna bring it to you at all. So it's SF Mo, you understand? So I'm gonna tell you that's why I say I started off saying that first off, the gentleman came out the car compliant, gets into the car, and takes off. Now, at this particular point, they don't have the right to shoot him at all because he's fleeing, but there's no reason to pull out you can pull out your taser and try to stop him, but who he is. So whatever. So boom, he's taking off. Okay. Right. Officers back up and she pulls what she believes is a taser, but it's actually a gun. Nobody sees that. Officers around her, nobody sees that. Got a problem with that, right? So it's easy because when you start talking about what's going on, it would have behooved her. It would have behooved anybody to stop her from killing this gentleman. But you got, everybody's exhausted because they moved back as she pulled this weapon, right? So, all right, let's go. So I'm just telling you, first of all, he jumps in the car and he takes off in the car. As he takes off in the car, before they could not shoot you if you were fleeing a police officer. It's a felony, whatever you want to say it is, but laws, case law, look it up. I already did it. Check my old video about how they can't do that. But the fact that he's in the vehicle and he's moving now, it makes it different. And that's why I say, to me, it's kind of funny. Man's being compliant, going into handcuffs, gets into the car, takes off, and then now we can't do anything because he's taken off, but we can do something because he's in this vehicle and he's heading toward these officers, and now the car is a weapon. It's just funny how that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's just funny that's now he's in the car that he was just out of. Now, even as she pulls this weapon to stop him, she has all the rights under the color of law to use deadly force. Did you hear me? You feel me? Let's go.
And she fires one
what Jay-Z
shot
said.
Into Dante Wright. So that's kind of the background that we're feeling. Now, she's charged with 2 counts. Manslaughter in the first degree. Now, manslaughter in the first degree in Minnesota is, in this case, it's called misdemeanor manslaughter. So causing the death of somebody while you're dealing with, while you're committing a misdemeanor. And in this case, it's the reckless handling of a firearm. That's the misdemeanor that we're talking about. And the prison time that we're looking at here is 86 months, but the state in this case, the prosecution, has asked for the ability to move for an upward departure over the guidelines. So and then she's also charged with manslaughter in the second degree. Manslaughter in the second degree is middle of the guidelines is 48 months, and that is where you cause somebody's death by culpable negligence. Now we're going to dive into that stuff here in a second. But culpable negligence, I'll tell you what it is. It's whereby the defendant created an unreasonable risk and consciously took the chance to causing the death or great bodily harm. Now, there's a long definition about causation and superseding causes, and that's one of the things the defense has argued in this case, is that the superseding intervening cause here was Daunte Wright taking off. That it wouldn't have happened, but...
Again, just like I said, why did he jump in the car and take off? Because it's a well-known fact that the people that were on the scene said they were in fear of their life because the vehicle was coming at them, which was an outright lie. But yet still, everything falls in perfectly, right? You got to keep in mind, too, this incident happened right during the George Floyd verdict. So there's a dichotomy between these, and it's not conspiracy, but it's exactly what's going on in the state, right? Because we're going to get the George Floyd verdict that's going to stratify police enforcement. It's about to stratify, right? It's not, so police officers feel as though there's no coverage for them anymore. They can't go out and kill anybody. So this case right here, this Kim Potter's case, is actually gonna shrink that stratification by what she's doing at this particular moment, by the fact that she's utilizing her weapon, following all the specific specifications of deadly force that they're allowed to use. Okay? And then let's just follow up. Let's just keep on going. Let's just see what he's got to say.
For that cause. And that he caused his own death. That's what the...
If you're a homeowner in Minnesota and you're still paying for electricity, then you're missing out on getting paid thousands of dollars to go solar. Most people don't know this, but in 2005, the federal government passed,
defense said in their closing argument. Now, legalistically speaking, I think they had to take that position. It has a bad taste in people's mouth, and I heard Reverend Al say today that it disrespected the family and it was a little tone deaf. But the defense has a job to do. So the defense has a couple of different strategies here. Number one, that she didn't cause the situation. The situation was caused by Daunte Wright fleeing, committing a felony. And they also have the defense that she did not consciously act. In fact, one of the things about manslaughter is that you have to have an awareness about what you're doing. And
so what he's talking about is intent, right? They break it down in all these legalistic bullshit ass law reviews, how this system is set up with an intent. Yet and still, if you watch this first part of this video and I talked about crim sex does not give you an opportunity to defend yourself. You can never defend yourself on the fact that you had no intent, right? The intent is not part of it, right? So as he talk about this legalistic BS, we still got to understand that in this matter, there's no intent. So in this matter, there is intent, right? And they can judge whether their intention. Of course, a cop doesn't get in their car and decide they're going to go out and kill another individual, right? But still, we don't know what was conversated on in that vehicle prior to them getting out and checking the warrant. But let's keep it going.
In manslaughter in the second degree, it's called culpable negligence. In other words, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to act in complete disregard. You know, can't be a mistake. It has to be like I'm drunk. I'm driving down the road. I know I'm drunk and I don't give a shit. That's what culpable negligence. And then you run somebody over. That's culpable negligence. You have an awareness of what you're doing. You know, you don't intend to cause anybody's death. They don't have to prove that. But the jury's out right now, and so we're waiting for that verdict. And so I thought I'd give you guys.
Okay, you can never get culpable negligence from a cop, right? Because they're not behind the wheels driving drunk trying to kill somebody, right? So you're never going to meet that standard. So it's easy for them to jump underneath it, but it's all been set up through legislation. So they're never, that's why I say it's so hard. First of all, they have immunity. Second of all, you can never say that they intended to do anything. It won't be first degree, it won't be second degree, third degree, none of these, because they all start off with an intent to do something, intent to fire your pistol, intent to do this, you know, they don't have that. So they're in a line of their jobs, right? They're in the color of law. So as they're acting out that, of course, you know, based on, you know, non-black people looking at the law, it makes sense. How would a cop ever go out to do something reckless, like pull a man over for no reason to get all these charges against him? Now it's your fault because you're getting pulled over for no reason. And, well, you know, they have reasons, right? You know, broken headlight, expired tabs, Christmas tree in your, you know, I mean, shit, fucking Christmas tree. Oh, fuck. So, yeah, let's keep it going.
Guys, kind of a glimpse as to what is going through the jury's mind. What are they analyzing? Now, one of the defense experts was a doctor, let's see, Dr. Lawrence Miller. Dr. Lawrence Miller is a police psychologist, and his resume is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's 3,000 miles long. He's the nation's expert in this area. And one of the things he talked about is kind of a weapon focus effect. So a weapon focus effect is where you've got, or a hyper focus effect is where you are looking, you got some stressor going on, and you kind of, everything tunes out, and you're focused on the thing right in front of you. For example, the weapon focus effect from the other side, let's say I'm a victim of a crime, right? Or a witness to a crime. And I'm looking at that weapon so intently that I miss everything else around me. You know, that's a weapon focus effect. There is an experiment a psychologist did, and I want you to Google this, because when you Google it, you'll be phenomenally amazed by what happens. And I'm not going to tell you the outcome, but these people are lined up holding a basketball. And they hand the basketball, and you're supposed to count the number of times the basketball gets passed around to people. So I want you to Google psychologist basketball experiment, and then comment on what you see in that, because you'll see it twice, and you'll be amazed. And that's a demonstration of the weapon focus effect or a hyper focus effect. Let's listen to what his testimony is on that issue, because I thought it was very interesting.
Because you think as the brain becomes more skilled, it would be use more energy, but it's just the opposite. As you become more skilled at a task, fewer parts of the brain have to chip in and contribute to that task. It's very.
So he said, as you get more trained, you get more automatic, basically, and the brain uses less energy. And things do become automatic. But listen to his testimony. I thought this was interesting.
Or to, again, the car example. The first time you learned to drive a car, it was all systems on deck. You had to think about it. You had to use your vision, your audition, your every sense to try to figure out how to work that machine. And what happened was, over time, it became so automatic that the driving program under ordinary circumstances is now overlearned and routine. And the brain no longer has to work as hard to perform these skilled activities as it did when you first learned it. And again, that's what the brain wants to do. It doesn't want to waste any energy. Just keep the simple things simple and save the really intensive brain power for the things that are unusual and more challenging.
So, you know, this comes into play where you have a stressful situation that requires additional thought, but you're on automatic pilot, basically. And a couple of different examples that he has given it.
Well, my question is, how does that make sense, right? So you got somebody who's a trainer who now we're saying that based on the years of experience, they have no sense of causality, right? Their focus is just routine. Okay, I'll give you that. But wouldn't that work into the prosecutor's conversation opposed to the defense? That makes no sense. Like why would she even be a trainer? If that's the case, why even have a trainer? If she doesn't know what she's doing because she's done it so many times and it's just second nature. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you point out somebody's doing something wrong if you don't even realize they're doing something wrong? So are you training them the wrong way? But whatever. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's defense. Let's go with it.
For example, a surgeon grabs the wrong instrument in the ER, or does something that they normally wouldn't do in the ER and makes a mistake. Or an airline pilot, under a very stressful situation, pushes the wrong lever and kills a bunch of people, and it's because of the stress.
My great grandma would have said that's just a fancy term for an excuse, right? It's not a reason, it's an excuse, but whatever.
Example, playing a musical instrument. Well, that's another good example. I mean, if there are any musicians in the room today, they understand that the first couple of times you're trying to play something, you wondered, how can anybody do this? Now, maybe a couple of years later in your practice, and it seems like what we call second nature.
The other thing that they talked about was weapon confusion. And so one of the things you have to do in looking at this type of case is, in terms of what the jury is going to be going through, is, did she act with deliberation? Did she act with the consciousness and that made her appreciate what she was doing at the time? Now, we're not going to play the video of Kimberly Potter because, out of respect for Daunte Wright's family, I think, they don't need to have this plastered anymore and I'm more into the legal stuff anyway, not the sensationalistic killing of a young man. I mean, he did not need to die at this. But if you watch...
Yeah, he doesn't need to die, but you need to pull him over. For what reason? I mean, he doesn't need to die, but that's what I'm saying. I'm having a problem with these conversations, these super lawyers saying, oh, he doesn't need to die, but you have all these reasons that leads up to death, but nobody wants to talk about it, right? In our communities. But and still, it's like why the fuck is anybody watching this dude, right? It's you can't see the truth of the matter. It's like, oh, he doesn't need to die, but I'm not gonna say anything about the stops. I'm not gonna say anything about this. She was totally in the right based on the law, blah, 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 blah. R. Kelly's a bad individual. He should go to jail, do 30 years, but not in this case. Is he not the police? Is he not the police? Is he not Leo? By just his conversations, listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Or is he just that area of the law where black folks feel like they're now, like, I can afford someone like him, so what he says makes sense to me. It's like, man, come on, man. None of this shit makes sense.
Kimberly Potter's reaction right afterwards. First of all, she shoots him once. Second of all, she goes...
Hey, you see how he points out she shot him once? It's as if shooting him once, okay, well, she only shot him one time. Well, people die from being shot once. This is a case where one time they got shot. She shouldn't have shot him at all. That's what he should have said. But he said he's only shot him once. So he's trying to minimize everything. But this is the tactic they use. This is a strategy that they use. And he's acting as if he's defending her. And why would you defend Kim Potter? Why would you? Unless he's trying to side himself with the law enforcement. He's through his conversation, he's pointing out what side he's on and who he identifies with. He goes into, like, even an R. Kelly thing, he uses these platitudes and this worn out conversation about how victims and women should be heard, but he has no real conversation about it because he doesn't feel that way, right? He doesn't really. If you really are passionate about something and you feel some way about it, because you can see it in this Dante Wright conversation, how he's more sympathetic to Kim Potter and her situation. You know what I'm saying? He's acting as though he's this neutral individual who's just pointing out the facts. But really, is he? Is he pointing out the facts? You tell me. You know what I'm saying? Give me that motherfucking hitchhiker. You know what I'm saying? You know that hitchhiker motto. You know what I'm saying? That you know what I'm saying? It's a universal hitchhiker. Give me them thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? The hitchhiker thumbs up. You understand? And let me know. You know, I don't care if thumbs down, but this is the clown, man. Straight up. Let's see. CLR. You know what I'm saying? You're good at cutting grind, cleaning dirt up. You're good, but you gotta stay in your lane, man. This ain't your lane, Joe. It's SAF Mo, your prison lawyer. I said I'm not a lawyer. I'm in a grill pit. You feel me? Bro.
Down and sits on the ground and she's beside herself with grief. I mean, she clearly, and here's the other thing. In 26 years of being a police officer.
So before he gets into her length of being a overseer and not pulling her pistol, which is cool. I mean, I can appreciate that, but she's a trainer, never pulled her pistol, right? So I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I would think somebody who has pulled their pistol and understands the stress that's involved and understand the weight of pulling your pistol would be a trainer, but she's not. That's fine. My conversation is this. So when she shoots him, she falls down, she cries, she yells, she screams, and pull off the scene, take her gun, whatever. Feel you. All right. Cool. And she's distraught. You know? They have this thing they utilize when they want to talk about criminals. They call them sociopaths. They used to say psychopaths, sociopaths. What is a sociopath? Most people aren't familiar with the term sociopath. Sociopath is a person who thinks about themselves first. So wouldn't this be indicative of a sociopath? Because I thought their job after protecting and serving, and I use that word liberally, is to provide care or assist. So you just accidentally shot someone, you don't go to help them, render aid, because in the state of Minnesota, that is a felony. They don't charge you with that, failure to render aid. You fall on the ground and you talk about yourself, but you just shot somebody. Any motherly, anything, beyond your uniform, you would have a motherly inclination to save his life, render aid, save someone. You know, that would be first and foremost. In fact, these people are so callous, you have to write it into their policy that you have to provide care. Because all they think they know is protect and serve, right? Lock us up, pull us over. So you start your, and I'm not trying to retry this case or anything like that. I mean, it just, to me, it boggles me that it makes sense to these white motherfuckers that you can pull an individual over for no apparent reason other contextual stops and end up with a death because he had a warrant, because he had a pending case. I mean, what makes it okay that, like, he should not be living? I mean, life's worthless, right? When we start talking about victims and who should be victims and how they play this game like, oh, they're victims. They've been trained to say those types of terms. He doesn't believe about it. He doesn't understand what a fucking victim is. The court tells him who the victim is, right? And that's how they play the game. It's a game. It's a board game. So, whatever. Let me try to finish this shit off.
She's never fired a weapon. She discharged her taser maybe, and not discharged, but unholstered her taser maybe once. My guess is that she's a field training officer and has gone through a lot of training, but not somebody that practices a lot. That's my guess. Because things weren't as automatic, and she was she talked about killing herself. They took her gun away from her, and I mean, she was
all the elements of being a sociopath.
She testified.
The same thing they say about criminals.
She was very much experiencing PTSD. That's what it looked like to me.
And why don't we experience PTSD in the fucking hood? We see
things really quick, and I'll just show you some other highlights from the trial, just with regard to her testimony. Now, the prosecutor in this case, I don't know this prosecutor. I've never.
High V, hot deal. Are super hot this Friday through Sunday. 6 packs of Pepsi.
Never tried a case with this prosecutor, and so I thought she was gratuitous and mean, and she did some things I think she just didn't need to do. The two lawyers that are trying this case for the defense, Paul Eng and Earl Gray, are good friends of mine. I know.
Yeah, see, that's where we differ, Mr. CLR. See, I know Mr. Earl Gray, not know him, but I was in a joint with somebody. He had to get 30 years, juvenile, right? So juvenile's now he's an adult trying to fight his case because of Earl Gray, you know. So yeah, I don't know him like you know him, but I read his cases. High price lawyer, state of Minnesota, and did an excellent job on getting my guy life. You know what I'm saying? As a juvenile, right? Really not technically certified, so he wasn't a juvenile, but there's a lot of problems with his case. But I mean, you say it the best. I mean, if you don't have the right amount of money, shit, justice looks funny, right? Let's keep rolling.
Know them very personally. I'm a defense lawyer, so I have a little bit of a kind of in the fight kind of mentality a little bit about this case, in the sense that I look for defenses because that's my nature. But it's really sad that this guy died. I mean, he did not need to die. And is she responsible? No question.
This guy. Okay.
In my mind, she's civilly responsible for sure. But whether she's criminally responsible, this is the kind of stuff that the jury's going to go after. So let's take a look at some of, we're not going to play it all, but we'll look at some highlights from Kimberly Potter's direct examination.
So he's referencing Kimberly Potter by name, but Daunte Wright is this guy, right? So I mean, you can already see his conversation, right? And they teach you how to do these. These are subtleties that most people don't catch on. Kimberly Potter, not a Fender Potter. So she's a Fender Potter here, and we were going to recognize Daunte by his name. You know what I'm saying? She's a Fender Potter. Let's get it right. You know what I'm saying? Even at that particular time, in my mind, she was an offender. You understand?
And Cross.
Ms. Potter, on the screen we have Exhibit 13 at 2:01:48. I'm going to slowly advance the frames and then pause it periodically.
So the whole amount of time that this took, quite honestly, was, I believe it was about 10 seconds between the time she says, "I'm going to tase you," and then she shoots him. And then the prosecutor, frame by frame by frame.
Okay, so that he's gonna stick with this for a little bit. So I want to start it off. So wouldn't it work into the prosecutor's case by the defense expert coming up saying it's automatic, so she doesn't think about anything? She pulls the wrong pistol, pulls the wrong weapon. Boom. Okay, so she's 26-year veteran, never shot her gun, pulls the wrong thing, wrong weapon, kills an individual. All right, so, but for her it's automatic. How's it automatic when she never has pulled her piece? How's it automatic? She doesn't pull it on a regular basis. So, if anything, be based on her training, she should be more textbook. She should be more familiar with it because she never pulled it. So how could you, I mean, it's not like she doesn't fit the conversation. They're trying to make her fit the conversation. Like, yeah, after so long, she's got the years, but she doesn't have the experience, just based on what he just said. She pulled her taser once, but she's a trainer. Okay.
And really slow. When in actuality, it was in an instant. That was a big point that the defense made in their closing. However, I think it was effective for the state to do what they did.
Let's advance just a bit. Okay, stopping right there. At 201:48, do you see yourself here taking a piece of paper in your left hand?
Yes.
All right, now advancing to 201:49, please.
And he shot at, is it 201:49? He shot right around 202, so that about 11 seconds later is when he shot. It's really misleading to the jury, honestly, when you slow things.
Let me break this down. Why I'm not slow, fast, it doesn't matter. But how I see it is that, like, there's a poem by Oscar Wilde that goes about time in prison being a year, you know, and the day being long. So with this being said and what he's trying to say, the history of black men being pulled over by these police officers stretches out. You know, you can make it seconds, but these seconds are years. So the fact that she slows it down, to me, has historical value. It's showing me. It's not. You want to mitigate it and make it something minor. Oh, it happens in a second. Anybody could have done it. But you've been doing this for a long time. 60s, 50s, 40s. You know what I'm saying? Keep going. You know, they've been pulling out the guns, pulling up. I mean, look at Tamir Rice. A couple of seconds. We blowing, you know, killing this young man. You understand? So just in its totality, let's talk about it, right? We can't talk about it. You know, you want to make it this situation and make it this individual, but it's historic. That's why it's so important to slow this down and explain it. Let's go.
Down this slow. But it gives you a perspective and it lets you overanalyze. Now, one of the things that the jury was instructed on is the perspective that you need to have isn't hindsight. It's the perspective of the officer in the situation at the time. So let's just talk about the law real quick, and then we'll go into the closings. So the first degree manslaughter. First, the defendant recklessly handled the use of a dangerous weapon. A person acts recklessly if the person acts in willful or wanton disregard of the safety of others. So that means that's not just that, you know, it's not just that she grabbed the wrong gun, you know, grabbed her firearm as opposed to her taser. It's willful or wanton. That is completely different. A person acts recklessly if the person acts in willful or wanton disregard of the safety of others. This means a conscious and intentional act, discharge of a gun, weapon, that the defendant knew or should have known created an unreasonable risk of harm or safety to others in the totality of the circumstances. Now, the prosecution is resting on that.
So they want to say Dante had that intent, not Kimberly Potter. That's how the system works. So again, he just utilized intent. I just told you, if you watch my prior reactions, that the laws that they're utilizing against Young Thug, R. Kelly, a lot of individuals, you know, then when they really want to convict you, they'll hit you with a crime that doesn't have an intent. And really all they have to do is make these allegations, and all you can do is plead. I said this before, but I mean, he knows it. I know it. There's a lot of people sitting in prison that know it. And I say it's unconstitutional, but I'm SAF Mo, your prison lawyer. I don't have a JD. You understand me? I don't have all the accolades that CLR has. So, you know, you might not want to listen to me, right? I got to think Count Dracula can teach me how to count, because that's all I can do, right? Let's go.
Other part of the statute, the other part of the definition that says should have known. And should she have known? Probably. But was it willful and wanton? I I don't think so. It's up, but it'll be up to the jury. And this is the kind of stuff that I mean, they've been deliberating for what, about 8 hours. So, and I do have a bias to the defense in every case. That's just where my DNA lies. But one of the things she
Except for R. Kelly.
talked about in her closing argument is the defense taking you down the rabbit hole of misdeception and trying to tug at your heartstrings because, I mean, one of the things that the defense did is they brought some character witnesses, say what a lawful and truthful person she was, and a peaceful person. And no one's questioning that. And those witnesses are there to get you to allow you to know who she is as a person. But they, in saying, that they're going to tug at your heartstrings, the prosecution does the exact same stuff in every case. They plaster nice photos of Daunte Wright. They talk about, he won't be able to do this tomorrow, and it's effective. It is absolutely effective. Now, Earl Grey has been around a long, long time, and he's won a lot of cases. Very successful lawyer, very well thought of, but he's got his own style. I could not copy his style to save my life. He's a very successful. He's a little like a bull in China shops, and he doesn't have.
I can't finish this. This is too much. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. That and at the end of the day, and like I said, I'm not trying to. It's just the fact that they're coming up and on a settlement, and they've got the settlement. And the fact of the matter, I'm on ins and outs and a lot of different conversations with a lot of different people. Now the community has to pick up this bill for the ineptitude of a 26-year-old vet overseer. And there's no corrections to it. They're going to continue to do it. I mean, they for right now they've stopped a lot of these contextual stops, right? But they're just allowing things to escalate till they can get back, and the pendulums can swing even harder. So it's just a game. There's no really corrections. So my conversation is not whether or not, like I said in the whole R. Kelly deal, I'm not here to judge. This is no judge zone. This is judge free. This is GP. This is on GP. It's SAF Mo, your prison lawyer. I'll give it to you raw. I don't give it to you at all. And I'm not here to play Monday morning lawyer. What's that? I'm SAF Mo, the prison lawyer. You know what I'm saying? So I give it to you raw. So at the end of the day, it's a tragedy that Black folks got to lose their life because, this is the white man's world, and their judicial system is white, and it only sees white, right? So, as much as they want to say that's a obsolete statement, the more that we face situations like we face, and it's just sad. It's just sad. To hear this conversation, where, and it's not whether or not she's right or wrong. It's like what's right is right. Because if this was a white gentleman, that did it, and she had shot him, it'd be the other. It would be flipped, right? We would flip the conversation. We'd make it seem as though the officer was in the wrong. And it would never be this complex because she would feel sympathy to the individual. She would give him that second thought. She would probably decide to aid and assist this individual to save their life. That did not happen. Didn't have to die. And I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, this is SAF Mo. I mean, this is crazy. I got to do something else. I mean, would you stop releasing videos, man, or just stick to cleaning bathrooms or some shit like that? Because I'm breaking my schedule to try to react to your garbage and your foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And at any time you want to, just jump in my box, holler at SAF Mo, get you straight. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to criminal justice. I'm not saying what CLR does is right or wrong. I mean, because he's a defense attorney. I mean, he knows he makes money off of telling lies and not showing the full game, the car game. And that's just the streets. But it's just I feel this is SF mode, the prison lawyer talking, different than a CLR, just scours bathrooms, or Dudley Do-Right, or whoever, fucking, Alfalfa, whoever the hell you want to be. I just feel like it's messed up when individuals really don't know what's going on and how they can play the system back and forth and set up these scenarios. And if you're not wise enough, you'll fall right into them, and you'll believe that we almost won. It's all the jury was just, I didn't expect that. Came left, but I didn't know the judge was gonna go that way with it. It's just, come on, man, for real. It's already set up. Y'all negotiating in the back. And the backstory to this Kimberly Potter, because I do sit in a lot of different rooms with a lot of different people. The backstory to the Kimberly Potter, you started off when CLR started off the first part. He mentioned the fact that the county Hennepin County wanted the upward departure. It never happened. In fact, she got a downward departure. Hold on. The county wanted upward. The judge, the bench, granted a downward. Okay. And it sounds like just words, but it's not words, because there was interworkings in the back half of that. When I talked about it initially, I told you that it's during the George Floyd trial. Well, the ending of it, that this case happened. So you can see that I feel, this is SAF mode, disclaimer, this says, I feel personally that it was a stratification, and the stratification was reduced during the Kim Potter case, and the state had a lot to do with it. You check out who's the state attorney, and you'll figure it out, because he's in on both cases, right? And I got my feelings toward him and what he does, and a lot of people like him, and a lot of people don't. But I understand at the end of the day, it's politics, and people really don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying, about what happens to you at the end of the day. And with her case, it was just pulling the pendulum back, right? So cops now feel as though they can kill, the state's got you, right? You know what I'm saying? Because she's not doing no time. In fact, by the time I drop this motherfucking video, offender Potter be walking on the streets, probably writing a book on Ellen, probably on motherfucking CLR. You want to sit down and chop it up with her. He got the gun sitting on this motherfucking thing. Yeah, and it's funny how you can have those pistols sitting out when you have so many mass shootings in the United States of America, but he has no opinion on that. That's another story. This is SAF Mode, prison lawyer. Give it to you raw. I'm not gonna give it to you at all. I'm out of here.
A police officer who was supposed to serve and protect took so much away from us. She took our baby boy with a single gunshot through his heart. She shattered mine. My life and my world will never, ever be the same. And I often replay that phone call in my head over and over again, and I blame myself because I should have told him that I shouldn't have told him it was going to be all right. I told him he was going to be okay. And just to find out a few minutes later, he wasn't. A police officer that took an oath to serve and protect for 26 years. But not on this day. On this day, she did not protect. She failed Dante, our family, and our community. She did not render aid to Dante, Elena, or the elderly couple that was in the vehicle. His car was held at gunpoint for over 5 minutes while my son bled out in the driver's seat. The last memories of Dante's life is now watching him being shot over and over again. Seeing his lifeless body pulled and dragged onto a grassy spot where they left him on the ground for hours as people all over the world watched. I had to cry from behind a caution tape. I couldn't go to be with him. My motherly instincts was to go, to hold him, to caress him, kiss him. And even in my mind in that moment, I wanted to save him. Another opportunity that was stolen from me. She left our world with so much darkness and heartache. The best way that I can explain it is what I feel every day. To be with her at dinners and holidays. Again, another thing that has been stolen from me. Please keep in mind the impact this has caused her family and herself is just a small passing. It's just a small storm that's going to pass compared to our life sentence without Dante. Dante Demetrius Wright, I will continue to fight in your name until driving while black is no longer a death sentence. I'm proud to be your mom, and I love you, Dante.
You're in a motherfucking grill pit.
This is SF, your prison lawyer. SF, your prison lawyer. SF,